It looks like I'm crooked. How do I look? Sorry, guys. My friends on Instagram, we're still having a little, we need another 30 seconds to a minute technical stuff. We're still doing social distancing. So I don't, I don't have a team here. I have a team on the computer. But, you know, so I pretty much have to do it all by myself, which I don't mind. So technical team, that's Alex. How's it looking? Do I look crooked?
The camera looks crooked. Can you?
Okay.
Can you make sure it's on landscape?
Okay. Yeah, it is. Okay. Okay, got it. Just have to pick it up and adjust it. Okay, how are we looking? Should be better.
Yeah, let's give it a second.
All right. As while we're waiting on the YouTube guys, we're 8 minutes in. We're working hard to make sure we're in on time every time. You know, the worst we've ever had was 37 minutes. I was so embarrassed. We started late, and I had everyone waited, which was really amazing. And the best we've had is 1 minute. We started 1 minute after, so we're going to keep working to make sure we get it right, which means we start at 2 o'clock Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time every day, every week, every Wednesday. How are we looking on YouTube?
It looks all right.
Okay. What did you say about the fix? We good? Oh, there's my friend. Oh, wow. I didn't know I had this many people waiting. Hey, guys. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Tanya. Lisa. Alice Janke. Alice is always here. On time, every time. I love it. Doris. Amber. Hey, Amber. How are you? Amber is our teleprompter. She keeps us in check over here. I noticed with a great job. Denise. Hey, Denise. How are you? We're going to talk about Tina. How are you? No, you're not late. We were late, which I apologize for. I told my friends on Instagram that the next time we're going to keep working to make sure we're on time every time, because it doesn't work, you know, to be late. And I'm all about constant improvement, which is one of the things we're going to talk about as part of the principles on starting a business for yourself. So I'll give it a few minutes for people, for my friends on YouTube and Instagram to all pre-populate. My friends on Instagram, you should all go to, if you can, you should go to YouTube. Just type in my name in the search box or click the link in my bio and you can go to YouTube. That way I can see you, I can interact with you. You know, you get to see my amazing friend and my distant cousin, Suchi. We're going to be talking about Suchi over the next few months or years. This is just an introduction. He's so good looking that I always have him, you know, he makes me look good, you know, so I always have to make sure he's here. So I'm going to give it maybe 1 or 2 more minutes for people to log on. And then we're going to talk about something that is very near and dear to my heart, and that's starting a business. We're going to talk about why you would ever want to start a business. We're going to talk about what it takes to even start the process of thinking about it, you know, because you got to think about it. You know, we don't just jump into things. You know, we don't, you know, you don't just, you know, get in your car and drive, right? You don't, you know, just go shake hands with a stranger, right? I mean, just for the heck, you don't just start talking. You do things for a reason. So if we're starting a business, we have to know why. And then I'll give you the techniques and the tools. So 1 more minute, and then we'll, and if there's any lesson that you take from the last 3 or 4 or 5 months that I've been talking, this is probably going to be one of the most important. I mean, there was the one I talked about taxes, which was important, asset protection, investments. They're all important, but this could be the key to the future for many of you who are watching. And it could just take, something I say, to jar your, to get your creative juices going, and you go do your own business, go start your own thing. And then before you know it, you're one of the 1%. And then you'll maybe one day say, that guy, David, who I heard on Wednesday, July 8th, the inspiration for small inspiration came from that discussion. So thank you for joining. We have a lot of great, a lot of people on here today. And we are going to talk about starting a business and what it takes internally and externally to start a business. As we go through, as you know, we're still going through COVID-19, and we are still going through civil unrest. We as African Americans, minorities in general, are fighting for equal rights and justice, equal justice, as we should. But we can't forget, we could get all the justice that we need. And by the way, there's no reason why we should be asking for something that's already ours. It's ours. We could get, equal justice and equal rights and all the things that we want on a civil basis. But we also need to capture those same things on an economic basis. We also need to rise up economically. And I'm not just talking about, Black people and Asian people and Hispanics. I'm talking about people who, the 99%. It just so happens a great proportion of those people are minorities. And so I speak directly to you. But I'm also, this is an economic discussion. And so it's very, very important for us to take our economic power back and use that to do good. And I'll tell you about that in a second as part of some of the things I'm going to talk about. Doing good could be helping people, could be helping your family, could be helping your friends, could be helping people you've never seen before, but to help society. So we're going to talk today about what I consider probably the most the best way to take your economic power back, and that's to start your business. I can tell you, as a business owner for many, many, many years, that there is nothing more liberating. When you control your income, you don't have to report to that boss. You don't have to report to that, supervisor. You don't have to come in at 9 o'clock if you don't want to. There's nothing as powerful as controlling your own income. When it comes in, how it comes in, where it comes in from. And there's also nothing as powerful as being able to control your time. Your time meaning, look, if I choose to, I have a good example I like to tell some of my colleagues. If I walk into a room, right, and you lock the door, and you take the key away, and I sit in the room, how good do I feel? You just walked away with the key that is something I need to get out. But I'll give you a different example. So I walk into the same room, different example, and I lock the door myself, and I put the key in my pocket, and I sit. How good do I feel? It's the same action. The door was locked, and I'm sitting in a room with a locked door. But the first example, someone else controls my destiny, my time. And the second example, I control my time. I control my destiny. I can take that key and walk out that door anytime. At least I think I can. So the power to control your time is something that's invaluable. Now, if you choose to spend it working 18 hours a day, like I do, that's up to you. If you choose to spend it on the beach in San Juan or in Jamaica or in the south of Spain, that's up to you. But it's important to get that economic liberation. It's usually the best way is to start your own business, and it helps you control your income and control your time. Now, we're not going to go into the details, the nitty-gritty details. incorporating a business, hiring staff, the manufacturing process, sorting, logistics, the type of businesses you should or shouldn't go into. Those are all things that, the last one, the type of business, is up to you. As you'll find out after, we're done. The second part, or the first, 4 parts of the logistics and the marketing, you can hire people to do that. You can outsource that. You don't have to be an expert in every single thing, but you do have to know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. And we'll come into that in a second. So maybe if we have the time, I'll give you a few pointers about logistics and manufacturing and sourcing and outsourcing and all those things. But today, I want to talk more about the traits that you should possess. I want to talk more about the habits that you should form. I want to talk more about the internal strength and resilience that you need to have before you start the business, but not just before, during the business, during the entirety of the business, you have to have that same fortitude and that same resilience. And so I want to talk to you more about I want to give you the tools that you need to go out there and start a business and rise and do something great, because you can. You can do something great. Every single person could do something great. This is not a religious show. We don't talk about religion a lot over here. Maybe we should, but the one thing the Bible has said is that you could choose whatever it is that we have obligations, right? We have an obligation, pay your tithe to the church and pay your tithe to the state. We all have obligations, and the way we manifest, we use our obligations, use the things that we need to do. It's very, very important. And so to be able to control our time, we're able to divide it between the things that we're obligated to, like family and friends, and the things that and helping people are not. So let me step back a second and tell you, and then those logistics you can hire people for, and so on and so forth. I've been a business owner for about 17 years. Many of you know my background, know my history, know where I came from. I came from Lagos, came to JFK, ended up in LA, then went to business school. I was pretty much almost homeless for a while. Worked really, really hard at 3 jobs, and I went to Harvard Business School, went to Wall Street, and then became a business owner about 17 years ago, and haven't looked back ever since. Can I go back to a 9-to-5 job? Probably not. And again, even though I have a job, for those of you who might have a job that requires you to come in every day and that you don't own stock in, you can also consider, don't think about that as a job. Even if you have a job that you come to, when you take ownership of that job and you think of it as yours, you tend to rise and become a star, within that. My discussion is to people, in general, whether or not, you're the 100% owner or you own nothing, but you come to work every day. You can think of yourself as an owner also. Now, what many of you don't know about me is that I've been fired from almost every job that I've worked at. So you got to ask yourself, are you an entrepreneur, or some people enjoy being an employee? They enjoy going to work at 9 o'clock and leaving at 5, and they enjoy going to spend time with their family and having a good time with their family and, having an amazing, and then there's people who they don't like working the structure. They don't like being told what to wear. They don't like being told when to come in and when to go out. They don't like that, so they want to be creative. They want to do it on their time. They want to, work at 9 p.m. and work till 4 a.m. if they have to, and not have to feel like, they have to be at work at 9 a.m. And so for those people, the entrepreneurs, it's easy. It's much easier to start a business. And for me, that's kind of how it was. And the reason why is I couldn't keep a damn job. I got fired from Subway. So I got to the US in 1990. I had 3 jobs all through until Harvard Business School, right? I was an accountant, and I was a waiter eventually, after Subway. And I also tutored on the weekends and sometimes on evening weekdays. And so I was I was fired from Subway. One of my jobs, I think the first 6 months, 9 months that I was here, I got it, walked in, I walked around, looking for jobs. Then we used to hand out resumes, or we'd go in and get applications, walking door to door. Now we can't really do that anymore. Hence, unless they they could. They could easily put their necks on their knees on our necks and kill us, walking around. But I actively walked around, got a job at Subway, and my job was a closer. I had to man the till, the machine, and I had to close. Closing means I had to clean. I had to clean, and make sure the place was decent. And here I am, 21-year-old kid, just came in from Nigeria, upper middle class family. I didn't really have to clean. We had a maid, we had a store. Liver was cheap. So I had stuff. I didn't really have to, do a lot of scrubbing. Plus I had 3 sisters, who, were great. They cleaned everything. So I just read. I like to read. And so I had to clean. That was one of the things I did at Subway. So the first day, it was terrible. I didn't clean anything. I didn't really clean that well. I dusted a little bit. The lady came in and said, well, sorry, we can't, this is not good, here's how you do it. So she showed me, how to clean. It was like a deep clean every night because, they have all this grease and all this equipment. I had to sweep, I had to clean, I had to wash the stove, man. So the next day, I thought I did a great job. I came in, cleaned, and she came in and basically fired me 2 days at Subway because she said I couldn't clean. I wasn't, she was pointing at all these little. How was I supposed to know I was supposed to put the broom in there? You gotta know that stuff. So that was my first experience of getting fired. But it wasn't my last. I remember working at an accounting job, had 2, before business school. And at one of those jobs, there was this girl who I didn't get along with. We didn't, she was this, what do you call her, Becky? But she was, very, mouthy. And she would always, we always got into it because, I don't take any crap, when it comes to, standing my own ground. We always used to get into it. And she'd been there longer than me. And then, so she had a closer relationship with the boss. And so as things evolved, the relationship between me and her just, wasn't very good. Guy calls me in one day and says, you know what, she's been around 2 years longer than you, you're good, and all that, but, I got to let you go. So job number 2, this was in my first 2 years. And then there were other firings. There was a job I had where he was rude to my girlfriend, at the time. It was a short-term relationship, but, she called in one day and he was mad at me and I got fired on Wall Street. Many of you don't know this. I mean, it wasn't fired, but, this was 96, actually 97. Bill Clinton just passed this immigration reform law. And, it was tough, and while I was getting my papers all straightened out, the company then, Solomon Smith Barney, was like, yo, we can't, this law is here. You got to straighten this thing out. Here's 10 grand. Go figure it out. When you figure it out, maybe you can come back, maybe you can't. I got fired because my papers went right. Then at the final Wall Street bank that I worked with, what happened? I was great. I was a superstar. I was bringing in deals at, as a young, I was a, mid-level employee, but the senior guys brought in deals. I used to bring in deals. I was great. I was one of the best. And then I started doing my own thing on the side. I started, not looking at deals because I was always like a deal maker. I was always looking. The company didn't like me, spending time. I was great doing my job, but I was, I wanted something for myself. I was kind of like that entrepreneur kind of guy. So I was, was always looking out for other things that I could do on the side. And the company was like, yo, you either let this go or we let you go. I was like, I'm out of here. I didn't even like working on Wall Street. I mean, I liked it, but it was just wasn't me. The focus on money, the constant, competition with each other. I like more communal. And so I got fired at almost every job I had. I had to go work for myself. That was my reason. But the first thing about being an entrepreneur and starting your own business is it has to be something that you are called to do. An entrepreneur's life is not easy. Look, I have a guy who, a doctor who was working with another doctor's office, and he was making a lot of money. He was making $300,000-$400,000 a year, and he realized that he was billing up to $600,000 a year or more, and he was wondering why that doctor he was working with was billing for him $600 and paying him $300. He wanted to make more, so he decided to go on his own, set up his own business, and then he realized, yikes. Now I got to pay staff, a medical assistant and a PA. Now I got to pay for the office reception. I got to pay rent. I got to pay this. I got to malpractice, and I got to hire. Whoa! He only ended up taking $150,000 to $200,000 home when he was making $300,000 before. So, to be an entrepreneur, you have to be called to be an entrepreneur, because the amount of time and effort it takes to be successful, if you can't put that time in, it's best for you to stay on your job. It's going to require significant commitment of your life if you want to start a business. I'm not talking about a product. And therein lies the second, rule, habit, secret, if you want to call it, the second lesson that I'll teach you. I've seen many people sell real estate. I've seen many people sell, makeup. I've seen many people sell shoes, and I've seen many people in business for, they sell a product or products. And many of those people, they place an order here and they deliver the order there, for those shoes. And they consider themselves having a business. That's not necessarily true. That is selling a product. A product is when you sell an item or series of items or service, but you don't have the overall responsibility of managing the process, right? The sale process. The sale process starts from making those shoes. You have to think about manufacturing. You have to think about logistics, shipping the shoes, packaging. You have to think about the PR. You have to think about the employees, the staffing, the human resources. You got to treat the people good. Then you got to think about the sales process, the marketing, all the stuff that goes into running a business. So a business is when you are involved in some way or another in the you could outsource it, but you're still on top of it. Is when you operate something that entails the entirety of the process of selling, as opposed to just shipping something back and forth. So it's important for you to understand the difference between a product, selling a product, and a business. So starting a business these days, let me tell you, it's easy. It's easier than it's ever been. Here's why I say so. Look around you. You're at home now, right? You go to YouTube and you put out a couple of cat videos and people start subscribing, and then you start making a check. That's a product, but you could turn it into a business, like many of the influencers out there on YouTube. They've turned selling a product, selling a service into a business by controlling the entire process, managing the entire process, and operating it as a business. Income, assets, cash flow, and so on and so forth. So you can turn around and you can ship icicles, if you like. You can set up, you sell shoes. You can buy shoes from one place and sell shoes to another place. There's so many different businesses you can do online. There's businesses you can do as a teleprompter. There's businesses you can do as a voiceover. There's businesses you can do in so many accounting. If you're an accountant, you can go to become an enrolled agent, do taxes. You can be a hairstylist. You could be a barber. You could be a makeup artist. There's so many businesses. The problem that many people talk about starting a business is about funding the business. Well, guess what? Even if you don't have the money, you can borrow. Interest rates are really, really low right now. You go to a bank, you got an SBA loan, Small Business Administration. It's guaranteed by the government, so the bank will give it to you. They want a few things, they want to see a few, assets here and there, but they'll probably give you a loan. So you could start a business. It's the easiest it's been to start a business today than it ever has been in my lifetime. So if you're called to start a business, I would strongly encourage you to take that call. And that's the third thing I'm going to teach you. Actually, the fourth thing, there's been a lot of overlap here. The fourth thing I'm going to teach you about starting a business is, if you're called to start a business, do it now. Yes, right now. Don't wait till tomorrow, because there's always another bill to pay tomorrow. There's always another fee to pay tomorrow. There's always another thing that takes your attention tomorrow. Start today. Start the preparation process today. go online and read about the thing you want. And that is number 5 thing that I'm going to teach you about starting a business. You have to know every single thing about that business from beginning to end, and you have to know it better than anybody else. Here's why. You got competition. Some people are competing for your business. When you start making money, people are not going to look at you and say, oh, cool, he's great, or she's great. She's making all this money on Shopify, or her, salon, that new salon she made, she's making so much, so much cash, from that business, or that real estate business that that's cross section that he's selling all this. He's doing an amazing job with all the construction. People are going to look at it. They're going to copy you. So you have competition, right? 2 things. One is you have to understand the product that you're selling better than everybody else. If anything is worth doing, it's worth doing well. So if you're going to start a business, you have to make sure that business is the best and most successful business that you can make it. And I know your capabilities are unlimited, like mine. So I know you can take that business to the moon. You can make it $100 million business. Or $200 million business. You just have to do a few things, and those are the things I'm talking to you about. Everything else you can outsource. You can hire somebody to do it, but you have to understand that business. The place to start is go read about it. Well, first off, you have to. It has to be something that you know about, right? Something that you kind of understand, or you've researched, even if it's not the industry you're working now. If you're into selling real estate, you want to become a developer, or you want to start tearing the houses down, well, you got to learn that side of the business. You know one side of the business. You're a salesman. You're a great salesman, but now you have to learn about tearing down houses. You have to learn about contract services. You have to learn about pricing. You have to learn about that side of the market, how interest rates affect your industry. You have to learn, read about it, pick up a book, go online, talk to people. Engage with experts. Listen. You have to know that business better than anybody else. And then you have to be paranoid. That's another thing I tell my staff. We have a technology company that's working to put a dent in this pariah we call student loans. We want to eliminate it. We and a lot of good people around all 50 states, and an amazing amount of people are working on the problem. In the treasurer's office, a lot of the finance companies, they're working really hard. And we're going to join them to try to eliminate this pariah called student loans. But I tell my colleagues that, listen, it is critically important for us to always recognize that the competitors are not standing still. So, especially when you become successful, right? Or things are going well, you're making money. You tend to want to keep doing the same thing, right? That's a mistake. You always have to keep evolving. So when you start a business, you want to start a business that you not just understand, you also want to start a business that is a passion. Because a passion is something you'll throw yourself into, and you'll work really hard at, and you'll evolve constantly. So that is number 5 thing that I'm going to teach you about today. When you start a business, make sure it's something that's your passion. A friend of mine, actually my CTO, OG, he asked me one day, he asked a bunch of us, we were in the office, and he said, if you had a choice to pursue as a business, either your passion or your talent, which would you pursue? Hi, Henry. I see you. Hi, Natasha. So I'm asking you, which would you pursue? If you had to choose between, number 1, pursuing as a business your passion, or number 2, what you're talented in, which would you pursue? And it was a tough question, because if you're talented at something, well, if something is your passion, well, if you're talented at something, I mean, Pele, Maradona, my old days. The talented, those ball players, the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, all the skillful players, the Tiger Woods, they just have that much more, that talent, a little bit more than you do. So they're probably almost always going to beat you. So it's tempting to pursue your talent. However, your passion is something which gets you up in the morning, takes you through all day, working really hard, suffering the pain of starting a business, suffering the pain of having to hire employees, the pain of taking money from your savings account or mortgaging your home or from your credit card bills to start that hair salon or that barbershop or that real estate, construction business or that tax service, all that pain, that's a lot of work. You're away from your family. You're going to be working very, very, very hard. You're going to be, I taught you last week about the endurance of the human spirit, right? How your mind can triumph over your body. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it from last week. An example was when a study was where they pushed people to the brink with their physical exhaustion. And then they gave them a mental reason to keep going, and they all kept going, which shows your mind is powerful enough to control your body even when your body is weak, right? And so the passion is what gets you over the hump. Now, if you're lucky, your passion is what you'll be talented at. Michael Jordan, that's why he was so good. But it's not often very common. You're working in that nice accounting office or that financial advisor's office, but your passion is painting or sculpting. You're a great nurse, you do a great job, your patients love you, but your passion is traveling. And so sometimes the talent doesn't match the passion. For me, I'd always go with passion. And that's just me, it's a personal choice because it's the passion that keeps me going. So number 5, what was this number 6? I don't know. One of the most important things is when you pursue a business, make sure it's a passion. Let me give you a statistic that you may or may not be aware of. Are we still good, technical team? Alex, you still out there?
Yes, David.
Okay, we good? All because sometimes I can't really see myself, with all the machines I have over here. Anyway, so 20% of businesses fail in the first 2 years. 45% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. 45%, almost half. Almost 50% of business, you can put all your sweat and tears and leave your family and work really hard, put up your cash and put up your home maybe to mortgage it, put up your time, hire employees, deal with payroll, deal with 80. And after 5 years, you lose that business. 50% of businesses fail. Why? For a few more reasons that I'm going to tell you. But much of those reasons are the ones I just told you. The CEO or the owner lacks passion. He's not really an entrepreneur. He's more an employee, who likes to go to work 9 to 5. He starts a business and he doesn't understand it, or she doesn't understand it very well. And he is not paranoid. He gets comfortable, and then competitors come in and take he or her business away, or suck your clients away. And so a big part of why half of small businesses fail within the first 5 years is those reasons that I just told you. But there's more. There's more. Don't run out of cash. That's the number one reason businesses fail. They run out of cash. But think about it. If you had a passion, like I don't know, you like to ski, or you like to travel, or you like to paint, and you like to sell, you like to sell houses, and so you decided, you know what, I'm going to put all my time and energy and put it into this. And imagine there was some rich daddy who said, you know what, here's a blank check. No matter what you need, you want to hire an employee, I'll pay for you. You want to buy a new house, I'll pay for you. I'll pay for you. New construction, you pay whatever you need, I'll pay for it. Why would your business fail? It wouldn't. If you had unlimited resources, you could keep working over and over and over again on the same business into infinity. So of course, by logic and empirical evidence, The majority of small businesses fail because they run out of cash. What does that mean? You got to watch your cash. You got to watch your cash. And because you have to watch your cash, you have to do a little bit of planning. I know we don't like to plan. You know, we don't like to sit down and draw a 5-year business plan. You know, you can if you want to. We don't want to do a balance sheet, income statement, all the money coming in, all the expense. Sometimes we don't like to do those things, but you recognize that the one thing that can drive you out of business quickly is if you run out of cash. So you have to watch your cash. You have to look at your source of income. First of all, how much does it take to run this business? If you want to start a hairstylist, how much does it take to rent the building? If you want to or hair salon, how much does it rent to rent the equipment? How much is it to buy the desks, to hire an assistant? And when you calculate all that, you got to calculate it. You got to understand the numbers. And after you calculate that, then you look at your pocketbook. Well, how much can I afford to put away into this business? You could lose it all. You could lose it all. You know, do I need to mortgage my home? And look, I don't like it when people mortgage their home and take a risk because you could lose your home. But at the same time, if you have that passion and it's something you understand and something you're really good at, I'm the first person to tell you, go for it. Go for it. If you got to mortgage that home, as much as I don't like it, do what you need to do to get to the next level. Because sometimes great reward requires great risk. So you shouldn't run out of cash. Figure out how much it's going to cost you for 6 months or a year, you know, to run the business. Figure out until you start making money. Figure out where the cash is going to come from. Whether you have to go to the SBA, Small Business Administration, I think it's sba.gov. Please go there and check it out. That's a great institution that gives you money, loans you money so you can start your business. The emphasis is on businesses like yours, small businesses, and figure out how much you can get from them as a loan. You got to pay it back. And how much you've saved, how much you can get from your home, and make sure it matches so you don't run out of cash. It's very, very important. How are we doing for time? Okay, we have a little bit of time. I want to take more questions though. Sometimes I don't take as many questions as I would like to. So I want to, not maybe go over today, take some more questions. Okay. Another thing that is required when you're starting a business is you have to be ready to work harder and smarter than anybody else. I tell people that if you're competing with me, you have to be ready, because I'm going to work as hard and as smart and as efficient as I can every day of the week to kick your ass. Every day of the week, I'm going to be working. If you're my competitor, every day of the week, Monday through Monday, every day, my whole team will be focused on kicking your ass, because that's the capitalist, that's the American said, nothing personal. I like you. You could be my friend, but it's nothing personal. So if I'm going to be doing that to you, why would you even get into that business? You have to be ready to work as smart and as hard as me to beat me. Now, good news. Most people don't want to work that hard or smart. 75% of people, they want a 8 to 9 hour job, 8 to 9 hour a day job, right? And then another, 20% of people are okay with, a little bit of extra time here and there. 2 to 5% of people are your competition. And then when you start a new business and you elevate the conversation, less than 1% are your competition. It gets really thin. The air gets really thin out there. So you have to be ready to put your blood, your sweat, your tears, your resources into it. You have to be ready. But let me tell you something. When you succeed, and I am 100% confident that you will succeed. You know why? Because you're not going to accept failure. If you start a business, you're not going to accept failure. You're going to succeed. Remember, you're not getting into the wrong business. If you follow the rules I just gave you, it's something you're passionate about, you do your homework, you run the numbers, be prepared, you be paranoid, work hard to make sure your competitors don't eat you up. And if your personality is that of an entrepreneur, somebody who doesn't mind working 18, 20 hours a day, and if you put all your time and your spare time and energy that you possibly have into it, you will be successful. You won't accept defeat. There's a 100% chance of success. If you're not successful, then it's because you gave up. If you gave up, it means you didn't follow one of those rules. It means there was, you weren't that passionate about the business. or you didn't work hard, or you didn't understand enough of the business, or you didn't have enough cash to start the business. So the things I am teaching you are things that will help you be successful, no matter what the competitors are out there or the challenges you have out there. So keep that in mind. Let's see what else. I kind of want to tell a story that my sister, Mo, hi, I don't know if she's watching out there. Mo is my younger sister. She's the star of the family. She's just amazing, right? You know, she sets up this institutional organization in Nigeria, and takes, you know, her job is to, you know, to work to elevate the young children, the future of the continent. So she's starting with the children, educating, helping to educate them and do all these amazing things. And she has meetings with prime ministers. She has meetings with governors. She met with the queen. I'm like, okay, I have, you know, one day, you know. So my sister, so she's very, she's doing some really good things. You know, she was with, hey, where are you? I'm going to meet with Prime Minister of Pakistan. This was, you know, a couple of years ago. I was like, okay, all right, okay, can I come? I mean, I just want to tag along, you know. But you know. Anyway, so I was talking to her. She's amazing. Her name is Mo. Her organization is just really, really. It's called the TEP Center, TEP, the Education Partnership Center. It's based in Lagos, but it's, you know, she has tentacles worldwide. But we were talking. She was telling me a story about a tree in California called the Sequoia tree. You know, it's kind of the one that's redwoods. It's a Sequoia tree, Sequoia, and it's a native. You know, it's a native of California. And why we have rabid fires in California, it burns a lot of our vegetation, and still the Sequoia stands. How does the Sequoia stand with all these fires? The Sequoia tree stand with all these fires? There's a couple of reasons. One of those reasons is because the fire opens up the pores of the tree. Now I'm talking in layman's terms. She was talking in scientific terms. She's a PhD from one of these fancy London schools, you know, but she was talking in fancy terms. So I'm just giving you my layman's interpretation of what she said. And I read a little bit about it on Wikipedia. So the Sequoia, when there's a fire, it opens up its pores that allow rain, that's water, and sunlight. Two things the tree needs to succeed. It allows them in. Wow, that's what the heat from the fire does. The second thing is the seeds of the Sequoia tree. When it's hot, when there's a fire, it burns those seeds that fall down, that nourish the manure, that create manure to nourish the tree so the tree can grow. Wow. Number three, the Sequoia is one of the oldest trees in the world. It's been around for 2,000, 3,000 years. And the Sequoia, the redwood in California, is able to survive. You remember, you know, with trees all around, the roots of the tree are underground. They kind of, you know, kill each other. The Sequoia has its competitors defeated. One of them is the fir. There's another one. It's not the oak. There's two competitors, big trees that compete with the Sequoia. The fire burns those trees, so it reduces the competition of the Sequoia. So the analysis, the conclusion could only be made that the fire helps the Sequoia survive. Without the fire, something that's so bad for everyone and everything around it helps the Sequoia. What kind of business, and here's what I'm going to close with before I take your questions. What kind of business do you want to set up? Do you want to set up the business that when things get tough, you know, you get moved by the wind, when there's a little recession, that happens it's going to happen every 6 to 8 years. It's going to move you, and it's going to cause you to go bankrupt. Do you want a business where, you know, a little earthquake happens, and I'm not talking physical earthquake, a little earthquake happens within your company, your partner sues you, or your partner leaves, or something happens that's bad, and you collapse? Or are you going to be a Sequoia? Are you going to be that tree that stands? Not during when times are good. Yes, then too. When times are good, everybody's good, right? I remember during the .com crisis, you know, this, we used to have a joke that before the .com crisis, late 90s. Internet stocks were just throw a dart. And any stock you hit, you're going to make money, right? Because everybody was making money. So when things are good, your business will make money. But are you going to be a Sequoia when things turn bad, when there's a fire, when there's a disaster, when there's COVID-19? Are you going to rise up and do something for yourself? Well, we have COVID-19. We have civil unrest. What are you doing about it? I encourage you to go out there tomorrow, if those things I said just fit you, and start a business. And I promise you, your chance of success, based upon what I just told you, is 100%. You will succeed. Thank you. Okay, so let's take some questions.
All right, David. So first question is, what are some of the best ways to promote your business online without spending tons of money on advertising?
The best way to promote your business online the best way to promote your business without spending tons of money on advertising and so on and so forth. Well, there are a couple of things you can do. I can tell you some of the things we're doing, but there's a lot more that you can do online to promote your business. Of course, we all know money begets money, right? Money begets money, and sometimes the first guinea is more difficult to acquire than the second million. Let me repeat. Money begets money. And sometimes the first guinea is more difficult to acquire than the second million. So when you got money, it's easier to make more money. If you have $1 million, it's easier to make $2 million. If you have 1,000, it's hard to make 100,000 from that. So those people who have money, they inundate Facebook, Google, all the advertising, so they drive up the prices. So small businesses like yourself have to pay to play. And you don't have that much money. So you can't get your products out in front of advertisers, and you can't sell. Meanwhile, those gazillion-dollar companies, they're just making a killing because they're advertising, they're reaching more people, they're competing with you. Because they have more cash, you have less cash. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You probably still want to do a little bit of paid advertising, but more targeted paid advertising. So if you have something sent out to, so let's say you want to sell houses, right? Or you want to you're a hairstylist, right? And you want to reach your customers. What sense does it make to pay the expense of advertising to everybody in the US or even everybody in California? No. You want to target your city or the surrounding cities. You want to target a demographic that's similar. If you're white, you're probably doing white people's hair. If you are, then target white people. If you're ethnic, target ethnic people. Target the people, your customers. The age range, you don't target 12-year-old kids, you target their moms. So the more specific you get, the easier it is for the algorithm to get to know you, and the cheaper it is for you to acquire more clients. So as you know, on systems like Facebook and YouTube, the more you the more effective you are in bringing in clients, the cheaper it is. So it might cost you $1 or $2, well, maybe $4 now to bring in one client, because you're marketing to this many people. But when you start marketing to this many people, then it may cost you 50 cents to advertise on Facebook. That's the first way. The second way is be active on social media in those places where your product, where the audience is your product. For example, if you want to start a travel blog, right? If you want to, because you love traveling, and you hit that 9-to-5 job, that accounting job ain't doing it for you. I've been there, I know. And so you want to travel, and you want to write about your traveling, and you want to post it on YouTube or whatever. Well, you should join a lot of the associations, the organizations, the groups that are travel related. You want to talk to them, you want to communicate, you want to share ideas, you want to build that audience, you want to drive those people to your social media audience. So you have to be active. You can't just sit and expect it to come. You have to be very active online. And you can be active on Instagram, you're active on Facebook, groups, get active on YouTube groups, and that way people get to know you and they trust you, and eventually they'll get to buy from you. So there's many ways, to market your business. Cheaper, those are just two of them. Do we take one or two more? We have some time. Wow, we ended early today. We have one or two more questions. Do you want to, yes.
So, what if you have a business idea but do not have the resources to execute it? Can you sell that idea?
Oh, you asked two questions, basically. One question is, if you have a business idea, and you don't have the funds to make it a reality, then can you sell the idea? Well, my question to you is, don't ever let money stop you. Seriously, unless your idea is setting up a nuclear power plant, why would you want to do that? Or setting up an industrial manufacturing plant or something like that. Why would you start so big? You shouldn't let resources, because eventually what you find out is there's a lot of capital out there for people with passion, smart people, people who are who know the product, who understand the competition, people who are driven, who are natural entrepreneurs. There's a lot of money out there, whether it's venture capital, whether it's the SBA loans, whether it's bank loans, or whether it's your friends and family, whether it's there's so much money out there. So don't let money stop you. Now, assuming you want money to stop you, which you shouldn't, you can sell your idea. I don't really know. I know there's people who I don't really know how to sell an idea. I've never really. Ideas aren't worth a lot. Just so you know, people have ideas every day. I'm going to send a man to the moon. I'm going to send people to the moon. I'm going to charge them $1 million a year, a trip. Okay. Well, now you got to build a shuttle, right? So ideas are cool, but I'm not sure if you can sell an idea. Maybe a prototype. So if you take your idea and you design a prototype of a product, you could probably sell the prototype to a manufacturer who can help distribute it, something like that. But I don't think ideas as such are trademarkable or sellable. Emmanuel, I see a good friend of mine out here, Emmanuel Omehi. Emmanuel is a client, a good friend of ours, a terrific pharmacist who sold his business and made a lot of money. I love clients like that, right? They start a business, set up a business, and they sell the business and they make money, and then they can, you can hang out for a bit, do nothing. Actually, he's actually working harder now. He says, "Hey, Emmanuel, what's the best way to get ideas for a new business?" I can speak for myself, and I can speak for a lot of the successful people that I know who have started businesses. You don't necessarily go out there to look for an idea to start a business. Because if you're doing that, you're leaving your sphere of comfort, which means you know less about the product, you know less about the idea, you don't really know the competition, so it's an uphill battle. Usually the best businesses are ones in which you're working in now, or you are exposed to on a deeper level than just cursory, and you see certain problems, right, in those businesses. There are things where you see things that maybe don't work as well, right? Look at Airbnb, how it got started. They went to a sports event and there was nowhere to stay. There was no hotels. They were all fully booked. And the two guys who started it were like, wow, it would be a great idea to actually have all these guys who own houses rent those houses. That's how it started. They recognized a problem from a need that they had. And so those are usually the best type of problems for you to, the best type of businesses. When you recognize a problem that is within your own sphere of knowledge that you see is broken, or something you can provide cheaper, or something you can provide better, or something you do have to have a competitive advantage. And we've talked about that before. It has to be a business that you know better than everybody else and you have an advantage over everybody else, which is usually your knowledge, at least to start. Do we want to take one more question? Hi, Eve.
I'm still looking for a question.
Okay. Someone said, Margie, I have a passion, genealogy, family history that I haven't figured out how to make profitable. What tips do you have for people like me to make your business profitable? Okay. So one thing I didn't talk about, again, I told you I wouldn't talk about technical details, profits and losses. Today was more to give you the mental and physical tools to start a business. The rest of it you can outsource, the manufacturing and all that, if that's what you want. But one thing that differentiates a business from every other entity out there is that you got to make money, right? You got to make money. And so if you're not making money, you're going to run out of cash, you're going to go out of business. And so Mara just asked the question, said, hey, I have a passion, but I haven't figured out how to make money from that. Well, you got to figure it out. I don't know enough about genealogy, but You know, I know some people. What's the genealogy provider? 23andMe, 24andMe. You know, those guys. They figured out a way to make money. You know, they come in. They charge you a couple of bucks. You know, to take a swab, and then they trace your origin. You know, back to where you came from, and they can tie you to your ancestors. They figured out how to make money by charging you a fee. So you got to figure out how to make money. I don't know enough about your business, but there's so many ways to make money in a business. You could charge people a fee. You could charge them a commission. You could charge them on the back end. You charge them on the front end. You could not charge them anything and just sell the rights to those people, like advertising. You don't sell people's information, by the way. That's illegal now. But you could sell advertising. You could, if you want to watch this video, you gotta watch, 10 seconds of, me peddling this product. So there's many ways to make a business, but you've got to figure out how to make money from it. Okay, we've come to the end of our broadcast. Thank you so much for joining. I think we had more people this week than we ever had. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If it's red, if y'all on Instagram, go to YouTube and subscribe. I still love you very much, though. Those are my Instagram friends. And if you're on YouTube, please make sure that button is not red. Make sure it's gray. So click the subscribe button. I love you very much, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.